everybody. Okay, I'm back for part 2, and look here, I cleaned the wall for you all. I am so sorry about that little mishap in my video. My husband and I like to prank each other, and you know, we just like to have fun, and sometimes we like to, you know, we like to have adult fun. I couldn't pull that video and re-edit it or refilm it because it was just a beast to edit. So when I'm putting vlog footage together with I don't know how to explain it, with my sit down content, it just takes a lot longer to edit, and there's no way that I would have had time to get this video up as well as that video from last night. So I filmed both parts last night, but I'm gonna refilm this one so that we can just have a clean space no matter where my head is, because I'll be moving around, I'm sure. And then some of you were asking about my outfit in the comments and in my DMs, and this is actually the pajamas that I wore to Plan Llama, and I did bring a jacket because it was chilly. So these are the pajamas that I wore to Plan Llama, which was a lot of fun, and we will talk about Plan Llama actually in part 3. I am gonna need to divide this video up into 3 parts, just because it's going, apparently I'm going into all the details. So I want you guys to have all of the info, but today's video and then tomorrow's video will also be a Go Wild video, and then you'll have a plan with me, and then we'll be back kind of on our normal schedule. Okay, so after night 1, we did get some sleep, but not very much. So Gabe and Katie were on a early schedule. They were up and ready to go by about 4 a.m. and that was actually fine for us because we needed to actually get down to the conference area around 4:30 or 5. That's what we had planned. And the reason for that is because when you are in line, so when you line up, if you are closer to the beginning of the line, you have a better chance of getting the table that you want. And so what I mean by that is, if you're unfamiliar with Go Wild, on day 1 of the conference, this is, well, I guess this is technically day 2, but the first day of speakers and stuff where you're in the conference with everyone is sponsored. So all of the tables are sponsored by different brands. Some of them are big brands like the Happy Planner and EC and other big brands like that, and others are small shops, which are really cool. And so a lot of times you may know ahead of time which table you may want to sit at. For example, I knew, and if you've been following me for any amount of time, you'll probably know also that I wanted to sit at the Happy Planner table. That's just where I wanted to be. That was my goal because I didn't want to take home a bunch of stuff that I wasn't likely going to use. But honestly, so this is kind of fast forwarding a little bit, I'm a little all over the place, but when I got into the conference, and I'll talk about that process in a little bit as well, I would have been happy sitting at any of the tables. Honestly, they were all beautiful. All of them had a spectacular amount of goodies and swag and that kind of thing. And if you are interested in how much swag I actually got to bring home, or goodies from the conference, I will leave my haul over there. And I did see a few questions as well, kind of about Go Wild and that kind of thing. But if you do have questions about the conference and about my experience, I'm also happy to film or include in tomorrow's video some questions and answers. So if you're curious about ticket cost, or was it worth it, or which brands did I see, or anything really related to the Go Wild conference, you can leave that down below. Again, I'm by no means an expert, but I can definitely give you my perspective from this very first time that I went. So anyway, we were in line, or we woke up at 4 a.m., got ready. You know, I just did a quick rinse off shower because I did the full shower yesterday, and you know, did a messy curly pony, which was a lot of fun, and then went ahead and went down to the conference. We didn't get breakfast or anything like that. We went down because we wanted to get in line, and the plan was to get in line and then we would Postmates coffee to us so nobody would have to go stand in a line. There was a Starbucks on site, but our thought was that that line was going to be ridiculous, and so it was going to take twice as long to get there instead of just doing Postmates and then just meeting the person there and picking it up. So we ended up getting Postmates coffee, and I think Leanne went down to pick it up, or Gabe, one of them went down to pick it up, and then we were all in line. And when we got down there, I'll insert some footage here, but when we got down there, the line was already long. we heard stories that people were there camping out from 2 a.m., that people did not go to sleep. And I can kind of see that, like, you're riding on this high, you're hyped up about the conference, you're excited, you're ready to be there, and you definitely want to make sure that you get the table that you want. Like, if it really matters that much, getting there at 2 a.m. is not a bad idea. We were already like deep in the line, and so all of us were kind of making peace with the fact that we might not get the table that we wanted. And it was really fun too, because they did have like some entertainment, which you either saw in the footage previously or I'll put in here. Like, they had the llama come out, and they had like these people on stilts and with cool costumes. Like, it definitely felt like a party atmosphere. It was a lot of fun. You know, also just being in the line was an experience in itself, because like, I was seeing people across the room. I was like, oh my gosh, that's that person. Oh my gosh, that's that person. I know them. They're a planner person. And I was having people come up to me and saying, hey, are you this person? Are you creating in chaos? And so like, getting to have that time where you were like mingling as well was also really cool. And meeting like my line neighbors, you know, like the people who were in line with me, and like talking to them and like getting excited. And it didn't really feel like we had to wait that long. So we actually had to wait from, what was it, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. So we were actually in that line for 3 hours. But for me, it didn't feel like that. It did not feel like we were waiting for 3 hours, because, you know, we were taking turns like going off over here and talking to this person, and one of us would pop over and get coffee, and, you know, one of us would, you know, talk over here, and people were also kind of coming down. So you could see as the elevators were opening, you could see people coming out and coming down, and like, it was like walking a red carpet kind of. Just other people, you know, that we knew at the conference, and just kind of seeing them walk into the crowd. And it was actually kind of interesting watching people come down as well at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. And as the time got closer to the conference to open, their eyes were like, oh my gosh, this line is already insane. And just like watching that process of like, where is the end of the line? So that was a really interesting process to watch as well. So we definitely had a good time while we were waiting in line. So that was the line, and that was the process. And then finally they opened the doors. We had all made peace with like whatever table we end up at. It is what it is. It just release it into the universe. Not gonna get too hung up on it. And what was cool also is, as like a minute or two, no, maybe like 10 minutes before they opened the door, the Go Wild team made a post, like made a story with a teaser of what the tables looked like. And so you could kind of see, you're like, okay, this is the Happy Planner table, this is the VB table, this is the cloth and paper table. Like, you could really see and kind of scope out. And like, you could also see things that you were looking for as you were going into the conference. So for example, the Happy Planner table had like this big tower of balloons. And so I knew that I wanted to sit at a Happy Planner table. And so I was scoping out and looking for those balloons. And with like, in regards to the Happy Planner brand, they had like 5 tables, and they were each decorated differently. So I believe there was a Disney one, there was a florals one, which I sat at, which is so funny. I'm not the florals person, but I had not yet bought the teeny floral sticker books. And so I was like, I'm gonna sit there. And I also ended up with the teeny florals tote with a black one, which I wanted as well, which was awesome. So a lot of the stuff that I ended up with at my table was stuff that I had on my list already to buy. So that worked out well. And then there was, I think, a Stargazer Happy Planner table. There was also like a Brights one. And I think there might have been one more. more. Anyway, if you were at the conference and you saw the Happy Planner tables, let me know. But there were, again, some brands had multiple tables. The EC brand had multiple tables and that kind of thing as well. So it was really neat to see all of the tables decorated and all of that good stuff. And it was nice also because we felt like we were kind of far back in the line, but we actually weren't. So by the time when we actually got in, there was a good amount of tables still to choose from. And people, in my opinion, were not like, from where I was sitting in my vantage point, I didn't see anybody like pushing and shoving and being like ridiculous about like trying to get in. I did hear stories that some people had those experiences, but that was not an experience that I had. I felt like for the most part, people were like, oh, excuse me, I'm just trying to go over here. What table are you trying to get to? You know, it was just like a really like, I don't know, like a collaborative environment, like all these planner people coming together, all being excited about the same thing. I got to the Happy Planner table, and I will insert a picture of what my table looked like and that good stuff as well. So it was really fun. They had like an exclusive Go Wild cover also, which I am so excited about. There was an exclusive mug as well, so that was really cool. So just these little like exclusive things that were kind of exciting to have as well. Those exclusive pieces, I think also for me make the ticket price more worth it. So the swag is definitely not all of it for me. Honestly, like the ticket price, I think I would pay that ticket price for the experience alone, for getting to see the speakers and like being with that many planner people. And the swag for me is just like an added bonus. So I think that's the best way to look at it, because if you go in expecting to take home like a truckload of swag and that's what you want, like you want to get exactly what you paid for, basically, like you want your ticket price to match the value of the swag, that's probably not going to happen. I would say the value of the swag that I took home is probably somewhere around like $300. And you guys can let me know if you think it's more or less after you watch my haul as well, or if you've already seen that, you can let me know what you think about that as well. But that would be kind of where I would put it. And then the overall ticket price was $517. So of course they have to pay the speakers, they have to pay the hotel, they provided some food. That would be like one critique also that I would have for Go Wild. Like I know I'm a little bit off on a tangent, but they didn't provide meals, and I think that it would be nice if, and I would pay more for this as well. I know it's like a coordination effort on their part, but honestly, and like everybody's dietary needs are different, but I would love it if they would offer some kind of a meal, whether it's a lunch or a dinner, either one or both, and then wrap that up into the ticket cost. I think that would be cool. It'd also be nice to, like, I think, okay, so one night they did offer a meal, but it wasn't really advertised. Like at the Plan Llama party, which I'll talk about tomorrow, there was like pizza and nachos and stuff sponsored by the Happy Planner. They're the ones who fed us. Anyway, I thought that was so funny, but it wasn't like advertised that there was going to be food along with this. So we like went out and had dinner before, and then we came back and there was like pizza and nachos and stuff. So just some of those little things. It was like, okay, you know, when I think about going to a conference, there's at least a lunch provided with the ticket price. So that would be something that I would like to see. Again, I'm sure it's a giant effort to have to like plan around everybody's different dietary needs and, you know, vegetarian and gluten-free and, you know, all of those different things that people, you know, require in their eating habits. But I do think that that would like really boost up the value of the conference. Not that it already doesn't have value, but if you're asking about things that could improve, I think that that would be something that would be really nice to see. When we got in there, as we're going in the door, they handed us these like fun little light up things, and Bess from Lights Planner Action was there like hyping everybody up, and there's a big lit up wild sign, and like the decor in there was just beautiful, and the energy in the room was like palpable. It was awesome. It was so cool to see everybody in the room, and just like, you know, a lot of people had on their Go Wild t-shirts that we had received at registration yesterday, and just like this sea of purple. Everybody like had their planners, and it was a really cool feeling to be in the same room with people who really understood, you know, my hobby, because I feel like, and a lot of you probably feel similar, that I explain this hobby to people and they don't necessarily understand it. They are like, well, why don't you just use your phone calendar or whatever? And so it's nice to be in a room with people who truly understand. So that was really cool, and like the energy was up, and it was just really fun, and it was cool to finally be there because we had been waiting for this conference for 2 years now, and it was just really neat to be there with everyone. So that was a cool experience. Everybody got in and got settled at the table that they wanted, or at the table where they kind of ended up. I don't know how it was for people who were like more to the back of the line. If that was your experience, you can leave that down below so that we can kind of see both perspectives. But I would say, like, if you are planning to go Wild and you have a preference on which table you want to sit at, try to get in line as early as possible. Of course, it's your vacation. Of course, it's a fun time, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself and not pushing yourself too far. But also, like, if you really do want to get to a particular table, I thought 5 a.m. was a great time. So before the doors opened at 8. So that would be a recommendation that I would make. But anyway, we were all in the room and we all like got settled at the tables and all of that. And then the first speaker was Stephanie Fleming. And when I saw her on stage, like, this sounds so, I don't know. I'm not one person that usually like fangirls over people. Like, I usually recognize that people are, you know, real people and that kind of thing. But I have been following Stephanie and her brand and like watching the Happy Planner and using them since the Periscope days, since she was showing 2 or 3 different layouts of like one sticker book, you know, when the birth of the sticker book happened, and just like seeing her there was just such an inspiration.
How happy are you to be here right now? Oh my gosh, it's been a while, right? We need to talk. Oh no. Let's see. I got notes. I have so much to say. You guys, we have been through so much together as a community. I cannot wait to talk to you today. But after that amazing turnout from new Go Wild members, say it again, like, who's here for the first time? Wow, it's such an incredible community.
And then she gave this incredible talk about like embracing change. And as you guys know now, before I left for Go Wild, I was potentially at that point, which we now know is the case, but potentially on the list to be laid off or to be asked to resign basically from my current position. It was interesting that her talk was like about embracing change, because that is something that I have trouble with, and it's something that I'm continuing to have trouble with during this process. That I felt like, you know, that song Killing Me Softly with his song, like, I felt like she was telling my story. I felt like she was talking right to me, which is of course a sign for a good speaker. But her talk was absolutely incredible and like really kicked off the conference for me. I had tears in my eyes the entire time, and I'll get to this later, but I did actually get to have some one-on-one time with her and meet and talk to her, and like we had a continued conversation about my job situation and about what was going on and all of that stuff. And it just, like, meeting her and like seeing her, and she's just such a genuine person. I don't know, like that was a bucket list item for me for sure. And I did, just spoiler alert, but I did finally get my Stephanie Fleming hug that I've been talking about for years and years and years, since we originally planned to Go Wild and had her on the Spice Chaos podcast. So that was really cool. Her talk was wonderful, and it was really great to have her kicking off the conference. And then when her talk concluded, we had our first like swag drop during the conference, and it was that, you may have seen it for sale on the Happy Planner website, but it was that Squad Girls tote with the Squad Girls notebook and the red metal discs and that kind of thing. I think that's a preview. I have no inside information or anything, but I think that's a preview of things to come. I think Squad Girls is going to make an appearance, and I'm excited about it. After Stephanie, there was like a short 10-minute break as well. During that break, I actually ran to my hotel room. It might have been 15 minutes, but I ran back upstairs to the hotel room and I dropped my table swag, and I dropped the swag that was given from the Happy Planner. So I dropped all of that stuff near my suitcase because I knew that like walking around, I didn't want to be carrying it around, and I don't know, I just wanted to make sure that I had it with me and I didn't leave anything. And I'm actually glad that I did, because unfortunately there were reports that people were taking other people's swag off the table. I don't know if it was on day 1 or day 2 or when it happened, but that was a bummer. And they were also taking swag from tables where people were not sitting, which was also a bummer, because as far as I understand it, there were people at home attending the conference, because this was kind of like a mixed in-person virtual event this year, just due to circumstances and planning and all of that. But that stuff was going to be sent to people who were back home. So I just thought that was a bummer. And like things were getting, like personal items ended up getting stolen. So I would just hope that next year or in years in the future, if you do go and that was you and you were maybe like taking swag, that you maybe rethink that in the future, because they definitely have plans for it. It's not just going to go to waste if it stays on the table. But after that break and after I dropped all of my stuff, we came back and Cindy from Llama Letters, who is also someone that we've had on our podcast, came and did a talk.
I don't know about the rest of you, I'm fairly neurotic. I like to be in control of a lot of things. And the reality is you cannot.
And she actually only stayed just to give her talk because she is immune compromised and that kind of thing. So she did come and she did give a talk, and her talk was so awesome. I love listening to Cindy talk. She's always so transparent and just awesome. Like, I just feel like she has got such like a unique presence and also like very warm and nurturing as well. And I absolutely love listening to her talk because she gives it to you 100% straight, but also she gives like some of that like care and kindness as well. Like, she's definitely feels very warm and nurturing, that she just is who she is unapologetically, and that is just something that I always strive to be. So her talk was about just like, you know, life just is what it is, and we can overplan it or we can not, and we can, you know, just roll with it, and life is going to have hard moments, but you know, it's also really great. So it was nice to hear that talk in contrast with Stephanie's as well. So it was really great to hear from Cindy, and I really hope that she stayed well and healthy during the conference. And she did do like a little bit of a Q&A as well, which was kind of cool. So getting to know her a little bit more personally, and you know, she talked about, you know, her having kidney disease, and you know, that if people wanted to sign up to be a donor or a private donor and that kind of thing, and just the process for that, I thought that was really interesting. So her talk overall was very beneficial and super interesting. And then after Cindy, there was like a comedic break basically. So they brought on a comedian named Chloe Hilliard. I think that's how you say her name. And she knocked it out of the park. I will leave a link to her website down below. I believe she's also written a book about body image, which is really cool. And she, oh my gosh, she was hilarious. I won't repeat any of the joke topics because they're definitely not safe for work, and we have already had enough not safe for work stuff behind us in the previous video, but I won't repeat it here. But you can definitely check her out. I think there are clips of her work on YouTube and stuff, but so she was hilarious, and it was really great to see her, and her comedy set didn't really feel like it was like written out or anything, if that makes sense. It just felt like it flowed from her. It felt like the whole thing was just so natural, and she was funny and talked about relatable things that a lot of women have gone through, and it was awesome. I really liked her talk. So, or her, I loved the show, or just the talk that she put on in general. It was awesome. It was really great to learn about her because she's now one of my favorite comedians on my list. So that was a really cool experience. Following that was a break that was sponsored by Cloth and Paper, and there were a few little snacks, and this was over in the area where all of the booths happened on the registration day. So there were still all of the company booths. So, you know, the different planner brands had their stuff out, like the Happy Planner was over there, and Plum Paper and EC, and there was like a photo thing where, you know, it was like, I don't remember what it was called, but it was like spinning around, so it was like a 3D in action photo, which was really cool. And then all of those booths were over there, and then there was snacks, and like you could mingle. And this was the first time when I really got to like see people. I of course saw people in the conference, but where I was able to like walk up to people and say, hey, I know you, other than being in the line. That was a cool experience too. But this was like kind of a mingling time, and we had about 30 minutes. So I got to like meet a couple of planner friends, and people were coming up to me and telling me that they knew me from my channel and from the internet and stuff like that. And it was just a really nice experience. I was able to grab a Diet Coke and recharge, so that was also nice. And it was also nice to have a hotel room at this conference and that was on site, because the bathrooms got a little bit cray. Like, there was a lot of people there. Having a room to go back to in case we need needed to go to the bathroom that was accessible during breaks like this, that was really nice too. So if you do Go Wild, I definitely recommend staying on site if possible. So that would be another recommendation that I would make, just because, like I said, I could run upstairs between breaks and like drop my stuff in my room, and then I could run up there and go to the bathroom. I could run up there and like decompress if I needed to do that. So all of that stuff is it's definitely worth having a room on site if you possibly can. Okay, and then after the break that was hosted by Cloth and Paper, there was something they called the Wild at Home panel. So this was a panel of, I think it was mostly Q&A. I think they did do a little bit of a talk and shared a little bit about who they are and talked about, you know, their planner brands and that kind of thing.
A lifestyle content creator. My platform is called This Well-Planned Life, and I created it in 2018 to basically share everything that I love in my planned life.
But the people who were on the panel were Siobhan Dixon, Marquita Cummings, Kane Anderson, and Amy Tangerine. So they did a panel, and the Q&A and the questions that they were asked were fantastic. It was really great to hear their answers and to just watch them and to honestly be in the same space as them. Because, like, for example, with Kita, I've known her since her channel started, and to get to see her face up there and like hear her talk about her business and all of the cool things that she's doing, like, that was just such a cool moment for me. And then just like seeing these people who I follow online, just like in, you know, right there in front of you, like answering questions and just being real people. Like, I feel like that was overall the best part about Go Wild, is like, of course we know that everybody on the internet is a real person. Well, of course, other than those fake accounts, of course. We know that most of the people that we interact with are real. We logically know that, but seeing them right there in front of you, like in the flesh, moving and talking and doing planning and doing their things, that's just so cool to have that in-person connection. So as much as like we've been connecting virtually this year, like having that in-person connection, that is just, it's invaluable, I think, for me. Okay, and then last but not least, we got to see Meg and Myra from Planners and Wine do a live podcast recording.
And what has he done, and kind of where is he?
Yeah, absolutely. And truly, the last 2 years have felt like a blur. It's like a weird time warp. But anyway, so like I said, I became CEO in late December of 2019. I remember getting back.
That was such a cool experience. So they interviewed Tanya from EC.
She did it in her garage, watching her kids play. And I respect that. But it doesn't erase the other.
Yeah.
Period.
Both things can be true at the same time.
Both things can be true at the same exact time. And I am a person that always tries to look for silver linings in situations like that. And I had to dig deep.
But it was such a cool experience to see how far their podcast has come. So they started their podcast like during the pandemic, and just like watching all of the growth and success that they've had. They are two incredibly talented women, and watching them flow and work together and just do their thing on stage, and you know, the grace with which they interviewed people, and you know, the comedic timing, and just it was so cool to see them on stage doing that live podcast. So that was another one of my favorite moments. I'm sure with each one of these speakers, I'm like, this is one of my favorite moments, but honestly, like each one of these moments on day one especially, but it was really cool. And then after that, we went downstairs to the lobby. So Leanne and I went downstairs to the lobby, and we had actually pre-planned to have a meetup with people in the hotel lobby. And it was so cool to have people who actually wanted, because we were like, we'll just sit here and like have a drink and get lunch, and if people want to come, they will, and if they don't, they won't. But it was so nice to have like a little core group of people who we know listened to our podcast. When they told us who they were, we were like, yes, we know you. So the one I'm thinking of right now is Beloved Plans, and then I think her handle is Proud Plans. If not, I'll change it on the screen. But they are always interacting with us and listening to our show and like doing all of the things. And then Tina from It's a Wonderful Plan came down, and on the way down there, actually, Stephanie Fleming was there in the bar talking to people, and I actually was able to sneak in and get my hug first right there before we took our picture, and then kind of move over and like talk to all of our people that came to see us. And that was so fun. And we even like adopted people who were kind of there by themselves, and just like the whole like connection. I feel like everybody at the conference was there to like bring everybody together and like talk to one another. And if you were at the conference and you felt alone, I would encourage you to go again, and please don't hesitate to DM people. I will put that out for myself. Like if you go to the conference or you go to something like Chicago Planner Conference or something like that and you're feeling lonely, please text me. I will bring you into our little bubble. It's absolutely no problem. But that was a really fun experience too, was getting to meet people and like sit and talk with them, even though I had never met with them before. It was nice to be able to bring people in. And then it was, again, really cool to talk to people who listened to our show, who like brought up things that we talked about, who knew things about our lives. I mean, that is an experience I will never forget or get over, and that I am honestly very grateful for. So I say at the end of my videos all the time that I couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys, but it's really true. Like if you guys weren't here watching and or listening to the podcast or, you know, supporting us in any way, we couldn't do any of it. You know, we'd just be talking into a void. So it really is so special and meaningful to me when I get to meet people who love what I do and who love what Leanne and I do. So that was really, really cool. And then after that, Go Wild hosted what was called the Wild Crop, so later that night, but I wasn't really into that. So as you know, I'm not necessarily like a crafter per se. I did hear that it was really cool. It was hosted by Twinkle Plans Her Day. It was hosted by Christine, and I think Zebra sponsored it. And I think there was some really cool Zebra swag that came out of that as well. But we ended up taking a little bit of time, just the four of us. So Gabe, Katie, myself, and Leanne, we went out to have what we called the roommate dinner. And so we ended up going down to downtown Disney, which was kind of a two birds with one stone, because a couple of us wanted to get things to bring back to our families, and then we also wanted to get dinner. And so we went to Black Tap Anaheim. And this is actually my second time going to this restaurant, and if you like a good burger and if you like a milkshake, I will insert some photos or some footage here of everything that went down there. It was amazing. It was absolutely incredible. I ordered what was called the Reuben burger, which I don't know why I thought this, but I thought it was just going to be like a really like hefty Reuben sandwich, but it was literally the Reuben materials, like the corned beef and the sauerkraut and the sauce and everything, on top of a burger. Like there was a burger patty in there too. It was wild and it was so good. And then I also ordered fried pickles. That is a favorite of mine. Let me know down in the comments below if you also love fried pickles. I would love to know that. So there is that. And so we did a roommate dinner instead of going to the Crop. We just decided we wanted to, you know, go out and explore LA a little bit. That is another tip that I would have. So I would have tips like sprinkled in and things that I'm going to do differently next time. I would go a day early and then stay a day late so that you can have time to explore the city that you're in, because we had all of these like grandiose plans. We're like, we're going to record a podcast. We're going to go here. We're going to go do this. But honestly, like being at the conference and like wanting to just kind of be in that bubble with people, and like just the amount of time that the conference takes and the amount of energy that traveling takes, there really just was not time to fit anything else into the day or the night. So give yourself time to explore the city where you are, or just plan to do the conference and that's it. Don't try to pack your days too crazy full. So we did end up missing out on the Crop, but we were all fine with that. And then we came back to the hotel after dinner, and then Leanne and I hit the hot tub, and that was really cool. And then our good friend Julie from, let's see, Plans with Julie, I think is her Instagram handle. I always get her and the other Julie Planner mixed up, but I'll correct it on the screen if I need to. But she was in the LA area caring for her mom, and so she came and hung out with us. She was able to step away from that for a little while. She met us by the hot tub, and then we went back to the room and just hung out. And like always, this is my style forever and ever. Even when I was a kid at sleepovers and stuff, I fell asleep first. So we were talking and having a good time, and I fell asleep first. All right, so that is where I'm gonna leave us for today. I hope that you enjoyed this Go Wild recap. And again, I'm so sorry about whatever was happening back here yesterday. I thought it was kind of funny. I don't know, my husband and I like a little bit of potty humor sometimes too. So if it was offensive to you or anything like that, I really do apologize. But it just is what it is. And again, I hope that you can enjoy that video for what it was. And just know there will not be any other like sneak peeks back here. So thanks so much for watching. And if you are new here, hello, my name is Caitlin, and I would love it if you would hit that red subscribe button down below and go ahead and follow my channel. If you'd like more content, you can also go ahead and join my Patreon. Thank you to those of you who have come over and joined my Patreon. Also, you guys are incredible. Thank you so, so much. That is going to possibly make it possible for me to do this full time. And for that, like, I would be forever grateful if that is something that I am able to do. So you guys are incredible. Also, thank you to those of you who watch my content, who subscribe, who have been here for a while, or who are brand new to my channel. That also makes it possible for me to potentially do this full time. In my current state and my current exploration in the job market and all of that. So I truly appreciate all of your support. Like you have my unending gratitude. So thank you so much. And then if you would like any other free content from me, you can also check out my Instagram at creatinginchaos_official. I am so close to my goal of 10,000 friends over there. So I would love it if you would follow me there as well. And then if you would also like more free content, you can check out the podcast that Leanne and I do together called Spice Chaos Podcast. This next week's episode is going to be amazing. We're going to be talking with Gabe and Katie and rehashing our whole Go Wild experience all together. We're going to talk about our inside jokes, and then we're also going to record a After Dark episode where this, whatever that was, should have appeared. So that is that. But thank you so much in advance for watching and checking all of my things out. And then if you are shopping for planner stuff or anything like that, you can find my affiliate links all the way down in the description box below. And by the way, you guys, have fun today.